So I want to welcome everybody. This is going to be your movement sessions, a break for your brain and your body, an opportunity to slow down, to reconnect with what is going on for you physically, to provide a little bit of that self-care that might get lost in the general shuffle of your day. So before we move into any types of movements or stretches, I just want to say, listen to your body, tune into your own wisdom, know if something feels like it's too much or if it's not right for you, and honor that. If you have existing injuries or conditions in your body, please be aware of that and take care of the things as we're moving, right? If you need any suggestions or alternatives, then you can always chat me and we can find a way for you to get into some of these positions that are going to be right for your body. So today we're going to do a lot of things standing up. So if you have the space to kind of just push your chair to the side, step back from your desk or your computer, and just have some surface that you can stand on that feels relatively comfortable for you. If you have a mat or something, that's great. You don't necessarily need that. So we're going to spend a lot of time kind of today working into our lower body. All right. And before we do that, I just want to begin with a few simple breathing exercises to get reconnected. So I'm just going to kind of shift back here so we can make sure that we can see everything. Great. Good. All right. Now I'll pull up the camera a tiny bit. So wonderful. All right. So I'm going to have you start standing up. Right. And I want you just to begin by noticing your feet into the ground, wiggle your toes a little bit, right? And then spreading your feet out, coming down, and then just take a breath, feeling your feet push into the floor and then relax. Good. And then next, I want you to notice your hands. Squeeze them together and make a little bit of a fist. Feel that tension into your hands, and then release your hands nice and wide and open, and then take a breath. And now next, I want to open up into the rib cage. So I want you to pull your shoulder blades back, right, as if you're going to touch your elbows behind you. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, let your arms relax, let your chest relax. We just want to kind of stretch, open the diaphragm, and then relax everything back down. And now next, let's move into the mouth and the jaw. So I'm going to have you open your mouth as wide as you can, stretching your jaw out, and then letting it gently close as you breathe and relax. Now take a moment right now to check in with your body. Notice how it feels. What do you notice just standing here? If something is calling for your attention, if something feels tight or tired, maybe you notice your weight shifting into one side, or maybe you feel some sensations. All of this is helpful information. Remember, we're gathering data about what's going on in our bodies so we can better take care of it. So I want to go back down into the feet, all right, and start there. All right. We spend obviously all day, every day on our feet, and we often don't give them a ton of attention. All right, I'm doing this barefoot. You can do this in socks. You can even do this with shoes on, although you might get a little bit more out of it if you can kind of let your feet move freely. So I'm gonna just begin with a couple rolls of the ankle, okay? And so you can do this two ways of sort of starting here and just rolling in circles, gently pushing the top of your foot down into the floor. Or if you'd like to lift your leg in front of you and starting with a couple circles. If you have something that you can hold on to, all right, because we're going to be doing a little bit of single leg balancing stuff, that can be helpful, a chair, a railing, and just working into both sides. Little circles in each direction. I might take about 5 one way and 5 another way. Good. And notice if things feel like a little crack here, a little pop there, right? If your circles look more like jagged polygons, that's all very natural. As we're warming the joints up, you want to restore that full range of motion, lubricate things, get things moving freely. That is the whole point in doing some of these. So now coming back down to the feet, what I'm gonna have you do is lift the arch of one foot, and you wanna try to push the outside edge of a foot down into the floor. And so do this very gently, just trying to kind of roll your ankle out to the side. Feel that stretch on the outside of the ankle. Be careful about not going too far, right? And then just bring that foot back down to the bottom and then go to the other side. Roll to the outside edge of the foot, apply a little bit of pressure, and then come back down. And now we're gonna alternate. So we're gonna go from one side, breathe in as you roll to the out, and then exhale back to center, and then breathe into the other side, and exhale back. And then going here, kind of finding your own rhythm as you roll one ankle out, find a nice stretch, pull it back in, right? If there's a ton of pain or discomfort, then don't go as far, or you don't even need to roll at all, depending on how much space you have in your ankle joint. Breathing in, breathing out. One more time each side. And coming back to center. Next, you're going to take your legs a little bit wider than your hips. Okay, toes pointing relatively forward. And we're going to work on rolling our feet in towards each other. And one of the easiest ways to do that is thinking about taking the inner part of your knees and pulling them in as if you're going to touch each other. You're going to rise up onto the arches of your feet and then come back to center. So I'm breathing in, arches pushing into the floor, exhale, foot coming back to that nice contact. So and again, if it doesn't look like the way I'm doing it, if you can't get your knees to touch, no big deal. All right, again, you just want to feel that stretch. We're working on both sort of inward rotation. We're working on taking the foot, all right, rising up, applying that pressure on the arch. 2 more times. And then relaxing, letting it go. Taking your feet back under you, and we're going to work now on some heel raises or heel lifts. So I'll turn to the side so you can see here. All right, what I want you to do is breathe in, lift your heels up, rising onto the toes, and then exhale, letting your foot come back down to the floor. Again, breathing in and up. If you need to hold on to grab a little bit more support, and then down. I like to pause for a moment at the top. And really feel that stretch and that squeeze of your calves at the top of that motion. Thinking about how tall can you get, letting your head rise up towards the ceiling. And let's go one more time. And relax. Good, we're gonna tune in. We're just gonna take a stretch now for the top part of the ankle. So kind of how we started with some of those circles, you're gonna take your foot, you're gonna point it down like a ballerina, letting your kind of toenails come down into the floor. And you just wanna try to apply a little bit of pressure here as if you're gonna roll your foot forward over, all right, ankle over the toes and allowing a little bit of a pull down in the front side. Now this can feel kind of uncomfortable if you're on a hard surface. It might not feel so nice into your toes. So just sort of adjusting your pressure. So you just get a little bit of a stretch and then relax, let it go, going to the other side. Same idea here, stretching the front side of the ankle. Right? You have lots of bones in your feet, right? And what we do is we shove them into shoes and big boots all day, and we kind of prevent them from moving freely, and they get kind of locked up in different positions, and then they're not doing what they're designed to do, which is to move with the contours of the earth. And a lot of times that can cause all sorts of other problems in the body just because the feet aren't as responsive as they could be. So what we're trying to do is kind of free up the feet, free up the ankles. So again, wiggle your toes, come back to center. Notice now how your feet feel, how your ankles feel. All right, maybe there's a little bit more space, a little bit more room. Maybe you notice that kind of feeling present, still lingering in your ankles. Okay. Next, I kind of want to move up into the knees. So very simply, all right, I'm going to have you just sort of pull one heel up towards your butt and then relax. And you're just going to move through this little range of motion here. Knee bent around 90 degrees if you can. Breathe in and up, exhale, release. So I want you to use your hamstrings in the back of your thigh to pull that heel up. So you feel a little squeeze at the top and then release. You can bring the foot all the way down if you need to, or you can just stay here in this sort of top range of motion. Squeeze, release. One more time. And let it go. You might feel some lingering tension. Don't worry, we'll stretch those hamstrings out in a moment. Going to the other side. All right, standing up nice and tall, shifting that weight into one foot. Heel comes up behind you, and then squeeze it as much as you can up towards your butt. Relax, let those muscles go. Squeeze and let it go. 3, 2, and 1. Great. And then just coming back to center. Now we're going to work on pulling the knee up in front of us. So just sort of like a high knee or like a standing march. Again, if you need to hold on to something, just going to pull that knee up, all right, as rising it up as much as you can, and then gently letting it come back down. Now using the breath, so you're going to inhale, knee comes up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. Keep going here. Moving, right, not too fast, not too slow. Noticing kind of what is working well for you, where you feel tension, where it feels maybe a little bit strained or difficult, or if there's any part of the motion where you notice kind of clicking, other things going on that might be representative of something in your hip. So go to the other side, switching, same idea, standing nice and tall, just pulling that knee up in front of you, breathing in, breathing out. Good, and one more time. And just coming back down, right? And now we're just gonna work on just sort of a gentle kick of the leg, okay? So coming back into that position, pulling the knee up in front of you, and just letting your lower leg swing, right? As if your foot were like a pendulum. Can you get a nice and smooth motion here? Right. Letting the foot swing back, swing forth, up to you if you want to make it really big or if you want to make it a little bit smaller. What we want here is as smooth motion in the knee as possible, right? Now, if you have pre-existing knee issues, really be careful, notice how this feels for you, but generally it should be pretty smooth, all right? And that's what we want, that full range of motion out and in. You can pause at the back, pause at the front, notice the stretch, breathe in and out, and let it go. Shake it out, move on to the other side. Same idea here. Again, finding that position, stabilize yourself, knee comes up in front of you, kick it out, swing it back, and just try to get nice and loose. So starting here with that pendulum. Again, you want motion without a lot of resistance is what we're trying to create here. All right, sort of letting gravity pull your foot back, down, and forth. And then once that feels okay for you, if you don't notice anything preventing you from this, then you can work on really extending the foot out, pulling the foot back, getting that full stretch and contraction around your knee. Continuing to breathe. And letting it go. Right. So now notice, right, we are just using our quads, our hamstrings, our legs, right? You might feel a little bit of tension, a little bit of heat, a little bit of blood flow. Great. If that's okay for you today, it is important to get these big muscles in our bodies moving. It is one of the challenges of having kind of a lot of desk work, a lot of computer work, is that we often don't give these big muscles enough of a time to kind of contract and relax during the day. So I'm going to have you kind of bend over, take your hands right down onto your knees and just give your knees a little massage. Or you can even feel your kneecap it should be able to slide around freely a little bit. So if you want to touch your kneecap and kind of push it in half an inch to one side, a half inch to the other side, right? There should be a little bit of motion in there. If you notice that it's really locked into place, all right, that's a sign that maybe the tissues there's some adhesions or something that's gripping. So just using your fingers to kind of massage around your knee, notice how that feels for you. Okay. And we're gonna now take a moment, we're gonna go into some stretches, okay, for the hips and the thighs. So beginning, standing up nice and tall again, bringing your feet underneath your body, toes in a relatively forward position, whatever feels most comfortable for you. All right, good. I'm gonna have you take your hands right here on the side of your hips. Okay, and what I want you to do is begin with some pelvic tilts. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna try to tilt your pelvis forward and then come back up to standing. Start really small, exhaling forward, inhaling up, and then going a little bit deeper. Keep your knees slightly bent. So you want your knees a little bit unlocked here. All right, and just find that stretch. The other thing I'm trying to do is keep my spine relatively neutral and flat as I'm doing this. So we're not gonna go into a full rounded bend yet. We're just gonna work on that hinging forward, breathe, come back up. Each time you drop down, if you can get down an extra little inch, you're gonna feel maybe an increased amount of tension, pull down the backside of the body. That's what we're going for here, tilting forward, right? Push your butt back behind you and kind of let your hips tilt, pivot, and hinge down and up. Breathe in, exhale out. 2 more times going through these. And then once you get to the bottom position, from here, take your hands, slide them down your legs, allow your back to round, and bring your hands down to whatever feels most suitable for you. Maybe that's holding onto your shins, your feet, the floor, or some sort of block. Okay. Now from here, I'm gonna have you wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. So begin to add in a little bit of lateral motion. Breathe to one side, back to the center. Breathe to the other side, back to the center. So I'll turn, right? And so we're just rocking. What we want to do is we want to begin to stretch some of the structures on the side of the hip. Now notice if there's still tension in your head or your neck, relax your head. Let your eyes and your gaze fall down between your legs. Breathing in, shifting to one side. Keep going. We're going to go 2 more times each side. Right. Up to you, again, how far you want to go, how long you want to pause, how quickly you want to move. Last time here. Good. Come back to center. Move all the way down into as big of a stretch as you can. Try straightening those legs, getting a little bit more of a pull, and then relax, putting your hands back on your knees, pushing yourself back up to standing. Take your hands back on your hips and go into some small circles. Again, breathing in, breathing out, and then switching directions, breathing in and out. We're going to go into that same kind of stretching with the side to side bends, but I'm going to have you take your legs now wide. So you're going to pull your legs wider than hip width, okay? Again, it's okay if your toes are pointing out a little bit, all right? We're going to point them in again in a moment, all right? So again, starting with that forward and backwards hinging that we just did a moment ago, unlock your knees, right? Letting your torso drop down, feel that stretch down the backside of your body, and then come back up to standing. Breathe in, exhale down, pushing your butt behind you. Again, we're going to do about 5 of these. Find your breath, find your movement. Close your eyes if that feels good for you, if you really want to tune into your body. Right, and remember to smile and enjoy, right? This should not be some sort of drudgery. Right? This should ultimately help move you and your body into a better place, a more beneficial place, of more freedom of motion. All right, so we did some of those, right? Side, forward and backs. Now I'm going to have you, again, drop all the way down to the bottom, let your hands slide down your legs and come into a nice fold forward here. Breathe in, breathe out. And then from this position, same idea. I want you to, all right, try to rock your weight into one leg. So this might involve straightening one leg and pushing it, all right, into that other foot, and then come back to center, push, and straighten the opposite leg. So a little bit of side to side action here. Breathing in and out, in and out. Finding that side bend, moving as deep as you can move today. Or if you want to keep it a little bit more shallow, and go slow. Let it be subtle. Even just how your weight is getting distributed through your foot can make a difference here in how this motion is affecting your body. So one more time, each side, rocking, shifting that weight into the right foot. Let your hips slide over, come back to center, shift the weight into the opposite foot and slide over, come back to center. Relax your head or neck, come to center again, breathe. Take your hands on those knees and kind of push yourself back up to standing. Excellent. All right, hands back on those hips, and we are going to go into a few circles. All right, this is just to help kind of integrate that motion that we just did back into the body. Breathe. Notice how it feels coming out of that stretch. Nice. And we're going to go one more type of fold. This time I'm going to have you, as much as you can, turn your toes in. So we're going to go into this sort of pigeon toe stance. Okay, so I started with my feet kind of underneath my hips. I'm going to rotate my toes in. All right, so I'm going to push my heels out. I have a little bit of a V action. So this is going to force us into this inward rotation again, that sort of knees coming together, right? This is going to feel maybe probably the most awkward of all the positions we've done. What we want to do here with this is just try to move that line of stretch, that line of tension, all right, into a different part of the hamstrings and the hips as we're doing this. So from that pigeon toe stance, hands on those hips, right? Again, sort of play around with a few of these, push your butt back, rock, and come up. Breathing. Noticing what's different here about this. Notice again if your left and right sides feel different for you. Breathe in and out. Good. And one more time. And then once you get to the bottom, again, I'm going to have you take your hands, slide them down your legs, let your back round into a stretch, let your head and neck be loose. And then we're going to go into that side to side motion. All right, so keeping those toes in, heels out, a little bit of push to one side and back to center, a little bit of sway to the other side, right? So this motion might be much smaller than the one we just did. Breathing as you shift your weight a little bit from side to side. And if it feels really uncomfortable for you, please stand back up, move out of this into a position that is better for your body. One more time to the left, one more time to the right. Breathe, come back to center, drop all the way down, one last big stretch in the middle. Hold it for a moment. Good, hands on those knees, pushing yourself back up to standing. And then just shake it out. Take a moment to kind of walk around. Whatever is going to feel right for your body. Listen, right? Ask it what it needs, honor that. For me, it's like doing a couple more of these high knee actions, or maybe a little bit more of pulling the heels towards the butt. Or maybe I'm just going to take a little walk around, right? And notice what it feels. All right, having brought a lot more attention down into the backside of your legs, into the ankles. Wonderful. And so just finishing today's stretching, all right, we're gonna actually have you bring your feet together, all right? So feet nice and close, all right? Keep your knees nice and soft, all right? I want you to feel that foot and that weight pushing into the floor. Good. And we're just gonna end with 3 big breaths together. I'm gonna have you breathe in, reach your arms overhead. And then exhale. As you exhale, just coming down and just touching your knees. Inhale up. Reach like you're gonna touch the ceiling. Exhale, slight bend in your hips, bend in your knees, coming down. One more time, inhale up. And then exhaling all the way down. Good. From there, just letting your body stand up nice and tall. Take a moment and checking in. What's going on in your body? What's going on in your head? How does everything feel? How is your energy? How is your breath? All right. Hopefully, again, taking this time to pay attention with the intention of bringing that connection back into your body is going to pay all sorts of helpful dividends for you, not only through the rest of your day, but moving forward. And the key is consistency. It's doing these practices every day, right? It's like your body is a beautiful instrument, but in order to play wonderful sound, you need to fine tune it. And that tuning really does need to happen every day because we accumulate so much stress and strain and stuff as we go about our days. And if we don't take the time to address that, then of course we're going to wake up feeling a little bit untuned, right? Feeling, which usually means for the body, right? Tired, achy, moody, stiff, in pain, right? So thinking about this as like your daily body maintenance, your fine tuning of your instrument. That's how I like to think of these movement sessions, right? They're not meant to be super intense. We're not here to burn calories or, develop huge muscles. We're here to, again, fine tune the body so it can play its wonderful music in the way it was designed to. So thank you very much for coming. And I'm looking forward to hanging out again with you soon again.